I'm Jim Csek. You're watching Kelowna Now with me, Jerry Redman, with the REMAX Report. We got some big news yesterday.
Yeah, exciting news yesterday from the Bank of Canada, getting another half point rate drop, which is two in a row from the Bank of Canada, which I think this last one surprised a few people. It was talked about earlier on in November, but there was some starting to waffle, thinking we might only see a quarter point, and then unfortunately we got some bad job numbers and things like that that they allowed them or let them feel that they needed to do another half point.
So now, since we started this cutting cycle, we're now 1.75 lower than when we peaked out at 5%,
Exactly.
right, on that Bank of Canada rate.
Yeah.
So substantial.
It's
right?
a big difference.
It's a big difference. 1.75 is starting to make a difference, right? And it's still talk that they're going to cut down. They're trying to get to 2.5 or something like that, and that might take another year or so or whatever. But the talk is that they're trying to get it down.
Yeah, we were listening to the CIBC. They did an update, and he's still forecasting between 2.5 and 5 Bank of Canada rate, which again is another point quarter off this rate in the near future. So it definitely is trending in the right direction for making homes a little more affordable again.
And I'm seeing this worldwide. I listened to Christine Lagarde this morning too from the ECB. They cut 0.25, and they're at 3 now.
Yeah.
And then so they say their inflation is easing, and they're on a cut cycle now too, and they're trying to get into that 2 range. And I think that's what the U.S. Fed is looking to get into there too. So we can, obviously right now it probably makes sense if the numbers kind of the economy stay the same to do a variable, I guess, mortgage until it gets a little bit lower, and then maybe try to lock in because the longer term rates still really haven't come down. They didn't move on that rate cut.
They did come down, and then they started going up a little bit with the bonds and stuff over the last little while. But definitely, the talk is now very late for probably the next 5 to 6 months, and then started locking in. And the conversation yesterday was really that people will probably start looking at 5-year, just give you that safety time frame.
Little nervousness built into the market where everybody before was just like variable, right? And then all of a sudden, a few people got stung by that, right?
Definitely. I mean, when you went from a variable down in 1.25%, 1.5%, and up to 5%, makes a huge difference in your payments. So it's nice to see that there are those people that have written variable rates. So starting to see that reprieve.
Yeah, because that variable rate, the Bank of Canada rate's 5%, but people were paying in the 7s, right?
Yeah.
On the variable.
Some of them, yeah, for sure.
Because you don't get the Bank of Canada rate. The bank is usually plus 1.5, 2, right, or something like that, right?
So yeah, it will definitely make a difference for a lot of people. We're seeing that in the market, right? Our October and November in Kelowna are up over both 2023 and 2022 October November numbers. So
there you go.
And it was a good little jump in October on the charts to show that definitely interest rates are starting to take effect. We're starting to see it just even in the office, the feeling of the agents that a lot of their buyers are starting to come back out of the woodwork and saying, okay, guys, you know what, it's time to start looking again. So we're definitely seeing more activity for this time of year than we normally see.
Because our next meeting is in January, end of January.
Yeah.
And then I think it's the 29th, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And then into the spring here, that's usually when the housing market kind of heats up a little bit already. And if we get another, I'm assuming they might go slow down here, like 0.25s maybe in the next few months.
That's the conversation and thing. Economist was definitely, if they do the half point, he called the half point. He was saying that will probably slide into just quarter point drops.
Yeah, because that unemployment number definitely is what spurred that, right? That 6.8, like the highest numbers in I think past 6 years, 7 years, that unemployment number.
It definitely, because literally we sat down with the CIBC mortgage rep last Tuesday having a conversation about it. He goes, yeah, no, everyone's forecasting a quarter point. And that's what all the papers were starting to say, and a lot of things. That those job numbers came out, and it changed on Monday morning. It's
Not
definitely
good.
going to be different.
Those are abysmal numbers, right? So
they are, unless you're an employer looking for staff.
and then GDP, we're still on this, if we're separated from the United States in that area, so not good. You got some charts to show us here, though?
Yeah, we do. Just to talk a little bit about the average single family price. We can pop up on the screen here. So you know what we're seeing here is the average house price is up. It's marginal, but again, it's up over this time last year, just 0.83%. Days on market, interesting, jumping up a little bit to 70 days, and then the amount of sales up 14, almost
That's
15%.
the number that I think people are looking to and saying that's I guess a sigh of relief for a lot of people, right?
It
If you're
is
trying
for
to
sure.
sell your home or if you're trying, to buy, like there's some activity back in the market, right?
There is activity back in the market. And I think an article I read last night that talked about the mortgage reps starting to see a lot more people, talking to them about mortgages,
Mm-hmm.
first time buyers and stuff coming into the market. And I think I think we'll see it in this we've seen in the past. Definitely more activity going on in the office.
Yeah.
And then if we bring up the one on the condos, it's interesting. Again, average price is up 14.69%. A good jump for
Yeah,
condos.
condos, that's a good one, yeah.
Days on market. Everything's taking a little bit longer. But
Yeah.
if you look at the amount of sales, it was
Wow.
58%.
That's a huge jump, though, right? That's
It's a
big time.
big jump, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where you're seeing a lot of first-time buyers into the market. They're going into the condo world.
That's what they can afford, like a lot of people, right? And
Totally.
then, that inventory number there, where's that sitting as far as like, I think it was 687. Can you put that back up, Ronald?
Yeah, we're still sitting in a seller's market, so to speak, but it is starting to shift. We're going to start to, I believe, we're going to see much more of a balanced market coming into January, February, and into the spring.
Mm.
And if we continue to see drops, you know what? Will we turn back into a market we saw during COVID and stuff like that? We're not going to see more. I can't see a market like that for a while, but definitely the buyers that are savvy and get good, they're out shopping right now. They're still motivated sellers, but when it picks up a little bit more, sellers will become less motivated.
And even the projects, like there's no new real estate being like towers being developed. There's ones that are being finished, but there's no new towers that are going up because we used to see a lot of that. But what's going up now or finishing is stuff from a couple of years ago.
For sure.
And I've seen that in Toronto too. Like they're saying the numbers of new towers and then are just not. It's just not happening right now.
Yeah, that was part of the economic forecast yesterday. They talked about it that they anticipate condo Canada will still come down probably about another year, but there is no being built. So prices are going to start to go back up after that because it will take again a couple years.
For a project, right? Like we look in Kelowna alone, there Movala, Aqua, stuff like that. Those things take a few years to finish, right?
Well, they take 10 years to, basically from conception
everything
to get them finished, right? So it's a long, drawn out affair. There are lots of land assemblies and stuff that were done over the last few years where see, people will get into there, but they're not going to have product for sale for probably 3-4 years on a lot of those larger sites. So
and those used to sell out, and right now there's still inventory for sale in some of those developments.
There is for sure, and then there's assignments that people trying to sell because they bought them as short-term rental.
Yeah.
Like
well, I hear that the city's going to fight for it now. We'll see, right? Because we should be seeing some relaxation in our rental number, like that 3%. We should be getting where we have some 3% vacancy rate in rentals too.
Well, if you look in Kelowna, the amount of purpose-built rental buildings that are happening right now,
that's where all the activity is.
It's where all the construction is, and all 4 to 6-story buildings, purpose-built rentals, but should definitely do it. But from my understanding, is we need to have that 3% vacancy rate for 2 years before they'll.
And then the two towers that are going up, UBCO Tower and the one next to it now, those are going to be rentals too. And those are big towers, right? Like 40+ stories towers, right?
But the UBC tower is going to be 3 years away, 4 years.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, the other one is not even scratching the dirt. And the UBCOs, I think, they're just starting to build again because of all the problems they had with the ground and what they've caused damage to other buildings.
Yeah. But if you look on the corner of Springfield and Benvolan up there, how many units are coming up there? There's a bunch of them happening on the west side as well. By the shopping
the smaller 6-story stick construction stuff, right?
Totally. That's most of the built stuff. And then we can bring a slide on the townhomes and stuff as well. Average average home price on a townhome is down a little bit, marginally down. Again, days on market taking a little bit longer to sell, but you're seeing a large increase, 47% increase in sales compared to last November. So the market is definitely showing indications it's going to start making a move in the right direction. And again, like we've talked about for the last few months in this, now's the time to be out. You're a buyer. You still
being ready anyway, right?
Be ready for sure. Yeah. Get in, talk to your mortgage broker, get a good realtor, somebody give advice on all this, and
I'd say this is the time to actually that advice becomes really good because you have time to think, right? Whereas before, when this is super hot, basically like you've got like 20 minutes to decide whether you want to put in an offer or not. Right now, at least you can rely on your realtor or your mortgage broker to kind of like weigh some options too, right?
Well, and you know what? And that was the nice thing about this, you're right, Jim, is you've got some time to make a decision that's not based on fear of losing something versus
Well, there's
buying
12
what
of
you
you.
wanted. Yeah, and we said that a lot. I said that over the next years, I think we'll see a lot of resales from people that bought in the COVID timeframe because they didn't buy their dream. They ended up writing offers and losing 10 different homes. You don't have 10 dreams there, right? You're just buying.
And it makes you buy, then you just get crazier on the next one, the next one. And they were doing some of those without even inspections, right? Like just like
So many were subject free. It was
yeah.
crazy.
So I mean that is kind of like crazy, right? Great
Sure.
time to sell something that's a lemon, though, right?
Well, you know what? You still can't get away with not disclosing
That's
properly
right.
for sure if you know you've got problems. But it is nicer to have the time to sit down and have a conversation with your partner and talk about what you're doing versus just reacting.
And having some choices too, right? And then starting to talk about, and that's where your realtor comes in handy. It's like neighborhoods, right? Like what does it want, right? Because each neighborhood in Kelowna especially has different dynamics, right?
Yeah. But it's interesting, when you talk about choices and you say, okay, well, you know what? I want a 3-bedroom home with a triple car garage and I want to be price point. You don't have 1,200 homes to choose from. It narrows down really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, as much as people say there's a lot, we're starting to see more inventory and things like that. When you have specifics, you can narrow it down pretty quick.
But like you said, even in the home construction, because that's usually where you continue to feed that growing need, but we're not seeing that. So it's that used home market, or is where the options are, because there's not a lot of new stuff coming on.
No, and we won't see a lot of new stuff coming on in Kelowna. We don't have the land mass for subdivisions, and Kelowna's been more focused on trying to drive density. If you're looking really for lots and things like that, you're going to need out of West Kelowna or Lake Country more than you're going to be looking in Kelowna proper, unfortunately.
And a lot is as much as a townhouse, in the $600,000 range, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you get a piece of dirt for 600,000 where you could actually buy a townhouse.
Yeah,
right?
if you get up into Smith Creek and things like that, there's definitely lower prices, but the cost of construction is so expensive right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday, the IBC was talking that they feel the construction costs are going to come down. Labor market changing, labor rates are going to end up going down for some of the crews and things out there, because there's not a lot of building going on. So these guys are needing, they're needing to keep framing crews busy and stuff like that. Well, they're going to have to
Got to feed the machine, yeah.
Feed the machine. So it's all in all, I think there's some good news for the real estate market. I'm not sure about how good a new economy with some of the numbers we're seeing, but definitely going to make life a little bit easier to purchase a property with the interest rate changes we're seeing.
As our dollar weakens, does that open up the opportunity for Americans with a stronger dollar to come and maybe buy up some of the properties too?
Yeah, I think you know what? It's interesting. I was asking a question to some of our guys that work up at Big White a lot to see if they've noticed it happening yet up at Big White, and they haven't. They said they haven't noticed it yet, but I will imagine that will start to attract it because that is one of the biggest things that are coming up here.
Because we got a 50% off sale.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
You look at our dollar; it's 70 cents. So like they get $1.40 or whatever, and then to them that's already probably lower than some of the hot spot stuff in the U.S. and ski resorts for sure, right? And we got some world-class golf resorts as well.
We do for sure. So yeah, you know what? And after the election, a lot of people hitting the Canadian. How do I move to Canada in the Google searches? So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that front. But I don't think it'll be a dramatic shift. But definitely there will be people from the U.S. taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm just a vacation home for sure. Usually those people that talk about that move to Canada thing are just talking, right? Because not a lot. I mean, that's happened for the past 20 years, right? Whenever the Republican wins, and not much ever shows up.
Without a doubt. And the other thing that'll be interesting to see is how many Canadians maybe not using their properties down in the U.S. and say, geez, now's a great time to cash my price out. The market's gone up down there considerably as well. And, you bring it back at home at a greatly, bringing the U.S., you're selling for U.S. dollars, bringing it back, converting. So,
like every time in the Okanagan, there's cycles, right? We've cycled many, many times, right? Was a tough cycle for a lot of people, right? Yeah. And I think 19 another one of those cycles. And,
I've been through the 94 of a good turn that ran real to year 2000 and
Yeah.
2008 that ran through to about 2012, 2013. And,
Yeah.
this one, I don't know if it's going to be as long as some of those other ones. I don't think we're going to see a dramatic rise like we've seen on this one for a while. But, the thing that doesn't change, we're still Kelowna, right?
Yeah. I think we're through the trough, though. We went beyond the valley of the shadow of death, right?
I think we're definitely on swing the plateau that we hit for sure.
Yeah, it was a bit of lunacy there. And, anytime anything gets overly frothy, there's a correction on its way.
Without, it's funny, being as long as I have been, and I've listened to, oh man, this isn't going. Yes, it will. They always do.
Cycled so many times, and like you said, you've seen these cycles,
Yeah.
right? You've been through them, and you're just patient, right? And and especially for people that have mortgages right now that are coming to renew, just I think help is on the way. I think we're going to see some rate cuts, and you could start to relax a little bit, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, just hopefully that we continue down this path, and you're not going to face that crushing wall.
No, I think you're bang on. I think we're on the right side of this problem that we've been dealing with interest rates and a slower market in our area. I think is going to definitely change this year.
Sun is starting to come up.
The sun is starting to come up, and hopefully within a week or so, the days will start getting longer.
It absolutely will. Most people don't know that, but winter starts, I think, 21 or 22.
Yep.
And that's the longest or the shortest day of the year. And then we start on the other side.
Start moving forward, which is awesome.
Which is great. Great update, Jerry.
Excellent.
As usual. And we thank you for watching Kelowna Now.
Everybody have a good day.